The red dust of Mars swirled outside the windows of Outpost Sigma, one of humanity's most advanced deep space listening stations. Inside, the usual quiet hum of machines was broken by a sudden, urgent beeping. Tom Wilson jerked awake at his monitoring station, nearly knocking over his cold coffee. His eyes darted to the display where unusual patterns flashed across the screen. After 15 years working at the station, he knew this was something different. "Computer run analysis on signal pattern Delta 9, he said, his voice still rough from sleep. The computer responded in its flat, emotionless voice. Signal contains non-random mathematical sequences. Pattern does not match any known human. Communication protocols. Tom's heart raced. He pressed the comm button on his console. Director Hayes, you need to see this. Director Lisa Hayes was not a woman who appreciated being woken at 3 a.m. Mars Standard Time, but when she saw the signal patterns on Tom's screen, all thoughts of sleep vanished. How long has it been transmitting? She asked, leaning closer to the display. First detected 87 minutes ago. It's not directed at Earth or Mars. Based on the signal trajectory, it's passing through our solar system. Hayes tapped her fingers on the console. Send everything to Earth Central. And get me Dr. Alex Reed. Dr. Alex Reed was Earth's foremost expert in xenolinguistics, though many of his colleagues considered it a theoretical field at best. Humanity had yet to encounter any alien intelligence despite colonizing Mars and establishing outposts throughout the solar system. When the call came from Mars, Alex was teaching a sparsely attended seminar on mathematical communication patterns at the University of New Boston. The message was simple. We found something. Get to the Houston Space Center. Immediately. 12 hours later, Alex stood in the main conference room at Houston Space Center, staring at the signal patterns projected on the wall. It's beautiful, he whispered, tracing the patterns with his finger. General William Davis, the military representative assigned to the case, frowned. Beautiful or not, we need to know what it is and if it poses a threat. Alex shook his head without taking his eyes off the display. It's not a weapon or a threat. It's a message. How can you be sure? Davis asked. Because it follows mathematical principles that would be universal to any advanced civilization. Look at these sequences. They're based on prime numbers, fundamental physical constants. This isn't random noise or a natural phenomenon. Director Hayes, who had joined via holographic projection from Mars, leaned forward. Can you decode it? Alex hesitated. Decode, maybe. Understand? That's another question. But there's something else that's strange about this. What's that? General Davis asked. The signal isn't directed at us. It's passing through our solar system, aimed somewhere else entirely. Over the next 72 hours, Alex slept little. The best computers and minds on Earth worked alongside him, analyzing the signal patterns. What they discovered was both exciting and puzzling. It's structured like a conversation, Alex explained to the assembled team. There are clear sections that repeat with variations, almost like questions and answers. Jane Parker, a quantum computing specialist, pointed to a series of complex patterns on her tablet. We've identified what appear to be mathematical constants, but some are slightly different from our own calculations. Different how? General Davis asked. Like they're calculated from a different reference point, Jane replied. As if the basic mathematics is the same, but they're using a different perspective. Alex rubbed his tired eyes. It's not just mathematical. There are patterns here that suggest the transmission contains data, complex data structures that could represent almost anything. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. So, Hayes said through the holographic link, we're overhearing someone else's conversation. The question is, who's talking, who are they talking to, and what are they saying? The breakthrough came on day 5. Alex was nearly delirious from lack of sleep when he noticed something in a section of the signal they'd previously overlooked. It's a map, he said suddenly, standing up so quickly his chair toppled backward. Not a map of physical space, but of frequencies. He quickly explained his theory. The signal contained instructions for how to respond, specific frequencies, and mathematical keys that would allow the recipient to answer. But the instructions aren't meant for us, Alex continued. They're calibrated for a different kind of technology than anything humans have developed. General Davis frowned. How can you know that? Because the signal references energy patterns that don't match our technological development. It's like finding instructions written for someone with 6 fingers when you have 5. The implications were clear. The message was intended for a non-human recipient. Captain Jack Miller arrived 2 days later. A veteran of the Mars Security Force, he'd been assigned to head up the military contingent overseeing the signal investigation. I don't see why this needs military oversight, Alex complained as he and Jack walked through the facility. Jack's expression remained neutral. Anything unknown is potentially dangerous, Doctor. Even a message not meant for us could have consequences. We can't predict. Or it could be the greatest opportunity in human history, Alex countered. That too, Jack conceded, which is precisely why I'm here, to make sure we don't miss the opportunity or ignore the danger. A week after the signal was first detected, Alex called an emergency meeting. The signal is changing, he announced. It's beginning to degrade. The holographic displays showed the once clear patterns becoming distorted. What does that mean? Hayes asked through her projection. I think the transmission is ending, Alex replied. Whatever conversation we've been overhearing is coming to a close. General Davis leaned forward. Have we learned enough? Do we know what they're saying? Alex hesitated. Not completely, but we've determined one thing for certain. It's a distress call. The room went silent. Someone out there is asking for help, Alex continued. And based on the signal trajectory, they're asking someone in our direction, beyond our solar system. Jack Miller spoke up for the first time. So there's something out there that isn't human, sending a message past us to something else that isn't human. Yes, Alex confirmed. And whatever they're calling to, it's old. Very old. Parts of this message reference stellar alignments that would have been accurate thousands of years ago. Director Hayes's holographic image flickered slightly. Are you saying they're calling to something that might not exist anymore? Alex nodded slowly. That's exactly what I'm saying. They're calling out to an ancient ally or creator, and their call is passing right through our home. So what do we do? Someone asked. The question hung in the air for a long moment before Alex responded. I think, he said carefully, we have to decide if we should answer a call that wasn't meant for us. The sun was setting outside the Houston Space Center, casting long shadows through the windows. In the red-gold light, the team looked at each other, aware that they stood at a turning point in human history. The signal was not for humans, but humans had heard it anyway, and now they faced a choice that would change everything. 3 days after the emergency meeting, the top scientists and military officials from around the world gathered at Earth's primary deep space communication facility in northern Finland. The massive array of satellite dishes pointed skyward like giant metal flowers seeking the sun, though their purpose was to listen to the stars. Alex Reed had slept little since his discovery. The dark circles under his eyes told the story of a man consumed by his work. He stood at the front of the packed meeting room, waiting for the last few people to take their seats. As you all know, we've detected a signal passing through our solar system, he began, his voice tired but steady. What you don't know is what the signal contains. The room fell silent as Alex tapped his tablet. The wall screen behind him lit up with complex patterns and symbols. We believe it's a distress call, he continued. But the language is unlike anything humans have created. It's not meant for us to understand. General Davis raised his hand. Then why are we all here, Doctor? If we can't understand it, what's the point? Alex smiled for the first time in days. I said it wasn't meant for us. I didn't say we couldn't understand it. Dr. Ben Foster arrived at the facility later that day. He was an unusual man by any standard, tall and thin with wild gray hair that seemed to have a mind of its own. His reputation in the field of xenobiology was both renowned and controversial. You must be Reed, Ben said, dropping his worn backpack on the floor of the lab. I came as soon as I got your message. Is it true? Have we finally heard from them? Alex blinked in confusion. Them? We don't know who sent the signal. Ben waved his hand dismissively. Extraterrestrial intelligence, of course. I've spent my life theorizing about their biology. Now you say you have actual alien communication. That's not exactly what I said in my message, Alex replied carefully. Details, Ben said, already moving to the computer displays. Show me what you've got. Despite his eccentricity, Ben proved to be exactly what the team needed. His unique perspective on potential alien biology opened new avenues for understanding the signal. Look here, Ben said, pointing to a section of the transmission they'd been struggling with. These patterns aren't mathematical at all, they're biological, genetic sequences. Alex leaned closer. How can you be sure? Because they follow the same basic principles as DNA but with a different structure. It's like they're describing a complex organism, but not one that could have evolved on Earth. Captain Miller, who had been quietly observing from the corner, stepped forward. Are you saying they sent their genetic code? Ben shook his head. Not their own. I think they're describing something else. Maybe what they're looking for. Or what they're running from, Jane Parker added quietly. The team worked through the night, fueled by coffee and the excitement of discovery. By morning, they had made significant progress. It's definitely a distress call, Alex confirmed to the assembled group. They're reaching out to someone, or something, they believe can help them. Help them with what? Director Hayes asked through her holographic projection. Alex glanced at Ben, who nodded encouragingly. They're dying, Alex said simply. Their entire species is being affected by something they can't stop. Based on what we can understand, it's affecting their ability to reproduce. A plague, Ben added, but not like anything we know. It's altering their genetic structure. The room was silent as everyone processed this information. And they're not calling to us, General Davis clarified. They don't even know we exist? That's right, Alex confirmed. They're calling to someone who visited our solar system thousands of years ago, someone who left some kind of markers or outposts. Later that day, in a smaller meeting with just the core team, the debate began in earnest. We should just listen and learn, Jane argued. Responding to a message not meant for us could be seen as interference. Or it could save a species from extinction, Ben countered. If they're reaching out for help and the ones they're calling to are long gone, don't we have a moral obligation to answer? Captain Miller shook his head. We know nothing about these beings. What if helping them puts humanity at risk? What if their genetic plague affects us too? The signal has already told us enough to know it wouldn't affect human biology, Ben said. Our genetic structure is too different. Alex had been quiet throughout the debate, but now he spoke. I think we need to look at this another way. This signal passing through our system is like finding a message in a bottle washed up on our shore. Someone somewhere is asking for help. Do we throw the bottle back into the ocean, or do we answer? Even if the message wasn't addressed to us, Jane asked. Especially then, Alex replied, because it means we're their only hope. The decision wasn't made lightly. World leaders were consulted, experts from every field were brought in, and endless simulations were run to assess the risks. 2 weeks after the signal was first detected, Alex stood before the United Earth Council making his final plea. The signal is degrading, he explained. We have perhaps 3 days before it's gone completely. If we're going to respond, it must be now. The council president leaned forward. Dr. Reed, you're asking us to announce humanity's presence to an unknown alien species. Are you certain this is wise? I'm certain that remaining silent is a choice too, Alex replied. And that choice means letting an entire civilization die when we might have helped. What exactly would our response contain? Another council member asked, a simple acknowledgement using the same mathematical language they used, but incorporating our own genetic markers. Essentially, we'd be saying, we heard you. We're not who you were calling, but we're here. The council debated for hours while Alex waited outside the chambers. When they finally called him back in, their decision was written on their faces before they spoke. "We will answer," the president said, "but with conditions." 3 days later, Alex stood in the control room of the massive communication array on Europa, Jupiter's ice-covered moon. The location had been chosen for its distance from Earth, a precaution insisted upon by the military. Captain Miller stood beside him, watching as the final preparations were made. "Having second thoughts?" Miller asked. Alex shook his head. "No. You?" "It's my job to have second thoughts," Miller replied with a small smile. "But also to follow through once the decision is made." Director Hayes' voice came through the communication system. "All systems are ready. Final authorization required." Alex took a deep breath. "This is Dr. Alexander Reed. I authorize transmission of Response Package Alpha." "Acknowledged," Hayes replied. "Transmission beginning in 3, 2, 1 signal. Away." The enormous dishes of the array hummed with power as they sent humanity's first intentional message to an alien civilization into the depths of space. As the confirmation of transmission appeared on the screens, Alex felt a strange mix of excitement and fear. Humanity had just announced its presence to the stars. What no one expected was that someone much closer had been listening too. In the darkest reaches of the outer solar system, something ancient stirred to life, awakened by a signal it had been programmed to recognize thousands of years ago. A signal that, by all rights, should not have come from Earth. The celebration in the Europa communication facility lasted exactly 6 minutes and 23 seconds. That was when the first alarm sounded. "What's happening?" Alex asked, rushing to the main console where a red warning light flashed. The technician's fingers flew across the controls. "We're picking up energy readings from the outer system. Massive power surge near Pluto." Captain Miller was instantly alert. "Is it a natural phenomenon?" "No, sir. The pattern is too regular. Something out there just turned on." The room fell, silent as the implications sank in. They had sent a signal, and something had responded, not from deep space but from their own solar system. Director Hayes' holographic image flickered to life in the center of the room. "We're seeing it too. Whatever you've awakened out there, it's generating more power than all of human civilization combined." The emergency meeting was called within the hour. Scientists, military leaders, and government officials from across the solar system joined via holographic projections. "The signal appears to have triggered some kind of dormant technology on Charon, Pluto's largest moon," the chief scientist reported. "Preliminary scans show structures that weren't there before. Or, more likely, were hidden until now." "Hidden by whom?" someone asked. Ben Foster, who had been uncharacteristically quiet, spoke up. "By the very beings our alien friends were trying to contact. It seems they left more than just markers in our system. They left technology. General..." Davis frowned deeply. "Technology that's been sitting in our backyard for thousands of years and we never knew it?" "Charon has always been unusual," Ben explained. "Its orbit around Pluto is strange. Its composition doesn't match what we'd expect. Some have even theorized it might be artificial, or at least modified." "Modified by aliens," Alex said. "The reality of it finally sinking in. And now we've switched it on," Captain Miller added grimly. "The decision to send an expedition to Charon was made within 24 hours. The nearest ship was the research vessel Galileo, stationed at the Neptune Research Outpost. It'll take them 10 days to reach Charon," Director Hayes informed the team. "In the meantime, we need to figure out exactly what we've awakened." Alex and Ben worked tirelessly, analyzing the new data streaming in from the outer system. What they discovered was both fascinating and terrifying. "It's some kind of relay station," Alex explained during the daily briefing. "It's designed to amplify and redirect signals like our response toward a specific point outside our solar system." "So we sent a message," Captain Miller clarified, "and this ancient alien technology is forwarding it like some kind of cosmic postal service?" "Essentially, yes," Ben agreed. "But there's more. The relay isn't just sending our message, it's adding to it, including stored data." "What kind of data?" Hayes asked. We're not sure yet, Alex admitted. But based on the transmission patterns, it's enormous. Centuries of information, maybe more. 7 days later, Alex and Captain Miller boarded a fast transport ship to rendezvous with the Galileo. As the most knowledgeable human on the alien signal, Alex was deemed essential to the mission. Miller went as military oversight, though Alex suspected he was just as curious as the rest of them. As their ship accelerated away from Europa, Alex watched Jupiter grow smaller through the viewport. Having regrets? Miller asked, joining him by the window. Alex shook his head. No, but I am having trouble processing it all. A week ago, we were alone in the universe as far as we knew. Now we've discovered not only that aliens exist, but that they've been to our solar system before. And left their technology behind, Miller added. Technology that's now active and doing who knows what. That's why we're going to find out, Alex replied, turning away from the viewport. Before whoever they were trying to contact answers back. The Galileo was already in orbit around Charon when Alex and Miller arrived. The moon had always been an unremarkable gray rock to human observers. Now, parts of its surface glowed with blue-green light visible even from orbit. The energy readings are off the charts, Dr. Rachel Lee, the Galileo's chief scientist, told them as they gathered on the ship's bridge. And we've detected an opening on the surface, some kind of entrance that wasn't there before. Captain Miller studied the scans. Is it safe to land? As far as we can tell, Rachel replied. There's a breathable atmosphere inside the structure, maintained somehow despite being dormant for thousands of years. Alex felt a chill run down his spine. They were expecting to come back. The landing party consisted of Alex, Miller, Rachel, and 2 security officers. They touched down near the glowing entrance, a perfect arch cut into the moon's rocky surface. Inside, the passage sloped downward, lit by the same blue-green light that emanated from panels in the walls. The air was cold but breathable, just as the scans had indicated. This architecture isn't random, Rachel observed, running her hand along the smooth wall. It's designed for bipedal beings not too different from humans in size. Maybe that's why they chose our solar system, Alex suggested. Environmental compatibility. They walked for nearly 20 minutes before the passage opened into a vast chamber. In the center stood a column of light pulsing with energy. Around it, curved walls were covered in what appeared to be displays, though none like any human technology. This is it, Alex whispered. The relay station. Miller approached, one of the walls studying the symbols etched into its surface. Can you read any of this? Alex moved closer. Some of it. These patterns match elements in the original signal. I think this is a record. A record of what? Rachel asked. Of them. The beings who built this place. Their history. Their biology. Maybe even their civilization. As Alex spoke, the light column pulsed more intensely. One of the wall panels changed, displaying new symbols. It's responding to us, Alex said excitedly. The system is still active. Miller tensed. Is that good or bad? I don't know yet, Alex admitted. But I think it's trying to communicate. Over the next few hours, Alex worked to understand the alien interface. The system seemed to recognize them as intelligent beings, though not the ones it was built for. I think I've got it, Alex finally announced. This isn't just a relay station. It's an archive. The beings who built it, the ones our alien friends were trying to contact, they left their knowledge here. Why? Miller asked. Because they were leaving. The records indicate they visited our solar system thousands of years ago. They found it suitable, but not yet ready for what they needed. So they left this station to monitor the system and relay any messages from their allies. And those allies are the ones sending the distress call, Rachel concluded. Alex nodded. Exactly. The builders of this station and the senders of the distress call were part of some kind of galactic community, a community we never knew existed. Until now, Miller said quietly. What happens when they realize humans have answered instead? Before Alex could respond, the light column flared brilliantly, and every display in the chamber activated at once. A new signal was being received. a response to their message. "It's coming," Alex said, his voice filled with both fear and wonder. Someone out there heard us. The light pulsed in patterns that matched the original distress call, but with variations. Alex worked frantically to interpret the new message. "They're coming here," he finally said, looking up with wide eyes. "They've changed course. They're coming to our solar system." "How soon?" Miller demanded. Alex checked the data again, hardly believing what he was seeing. 3 days, he said. "They'll be here in 3 days." The news of an approaching alien ship spread through the solar system like wildfire. Humanity had 3 days to prepare for their first contact with an extraterrestrial species. 3 days that passed in a blur of activity, fear, and hope. Alex barely slept during the journey back to Europa. The data from the relay station kept him busy, trying to learn as much as possible about both the station builders and the beings who had sent the distress call. "They call themselves the Veil," Alex explained during an emergency council meeting. "At least that's the closest translation I can manage. They're an old species, part of a network of civilizations that has existed for thousands of years." "And the ones who built the relay station?" Director Hayes asked. "They were called..." Alex struggled with the pronunciation. "Let's just call them the architects. They visited our system about 8,000 years ago. They were explorers and builders who established outposts throughout this part of the galaxy." General Davis frowned. "Why didn't they contact early? Humans? According to the records, they didn't consider us advanced enough yet. They planned to return in several thousand years, but something happened. They disappeared. And now the Veil are looking for them," Miller added. "Exactly," Alex confirmed. "The Veil are facing extinction and believed the architects could help them. They've been sending signals to all known architect outposts, including the one in our system that we just accidentally answered," Ben Foster said with a hint of excitement in his voice. "The alien ship was first detected as it passed Neptune's orbit. It was smaller than expected, about the size of a large Earth naval vessel. This wasn't a massive mothership, but rather what appeared to be a fast scout vessel. They're traveling at speeds we can't achieve," the head of Earth's Space Defense Force reported. "But they're slowing down. Trajectory suggests they're heading directly to Europa." Alex stood on the observation deck of Europa Station watching the stars. Somewhere out there, drawing closer by the minute, was a ship carrying beings from another world. Beings who had expected to find their ancient allies but would instead meet humans for the first time. Captain Miller joined him, offering a cup of coffee. "Ready to make history, Doctor?" Alex accepted the coffee with a small smile. "I'm not sure anyone can be ready for this." "True enough," Miller agreed. "The military's on high alert just in case, but we're hoping for the best." "They're not warriors," Alex said. "From what I've learned from the Karen archives, the Veil are scientists and healers. They're desperate, not dangerous." "Let's hope you're right," Miller replied, gazing out at the stars. The Veil ship arrived exactly when predicted. It decelerated into orbit around Europa with a precision that impressed even Earth's best pilots. A small craft detached from the main vessel and descended toward the surface, landing on the designated pad near the communication facility. Alex, Miller, Director Hayes, and a small greeting party waited inside the pressurized reception area. The room had been specially prepared with a mix of Earth gases and additional elements the Karen archive suggested would be comfortable for the Veil. When the outer door finally opened, Alex held his breath. The beings that entered were nothing like what he had expected. They were tall, nearly 7 feet in height, with slender bodies covered in what appeared to be a fine, translucent membrane that shifted colors like oil on water. Their faces had 2 large, multifaceted eyes that reflected light in rainbow patterns, and they moved with a fluid grace that seemed almost like floating. 3 of them entered, pausing just inside the doorway. For a moment, no one moved. Then, Alex stepped forward. "Welcome to Europa," he said, keeping his voice calm despite his racing heart. "We are humans, and we received your signal." One of the Veil moved forward. Its membrane rippled, and a sound emerged, a complex series of tones and clicks. A small device at its side flickered with light. "The translation will take time," the Veil said suddenly in a voice that sounded mechanical but understandable. "We have studied your response pattern. You are not architects." It wasn't a question, but Alex answered anyway. "No, we're not. The architects visited our system long ago, but they never returned. We found their relay station on Charon after we answered your signal." The Veil's membrane changed color, darkening slightly. "This is unexpected. Our sensors detected active technology consistent with architect design. We believed they had returned." "I'm sorry," Alex said sincerely. "We don't know what happened to them." The lead Veil seemed to consider this. "Then, our journey has failed. We sought the architect's help with our genetic degradation." "We know," Alex replied. "We decoded enough of your signal to understand you're facing extinction. We might not be the architects, but perhaps we can still help." The initial meeting lasted hours. The Veil, while clearly disappointed to find humans instead of their ancient allies, were nonetheless fascinated by humanity's development. "Your species evolved without guidance," the Veil leader, who called itself Lumina, observed. "Most civilizations in our known galaxy were nurtured by older species, taught and guided as they developed. You grew alone. Is that unusual?" Director Hayes asked. "Very," Lumina replied. "It has made you so different. Your technology follows paths we would not have considered. Your biology is resilient in ways ours is not." Ben Foster, who had been quietly observing the aliens with professional interest, leaned forward. "That might actually be relevant to your problem. You're facing a genetic plague, correct? Something affecting your reproductive capabilities?" "Yes," Lumina confirmed. "Our species was engineered long ago to thrive in specific environments. But something has changed in our home system, a form of radiation that damages our carefully balanced genetic structure." "And you can't adapt," Ben said, understanding dawning on his face. "Because your biology was designed rather than evolved." "Precisely," Lumina replied. "We lack the genetic diversity to overcome this challenge." Alex and Ben exchanged glances. "That's something humans might actually be able to help with," Alex said carefully. "Our genetic structure is the result of millions of years of adaptation and natural selection." "We had hoped the architects could repair our genome," Lumina said, membrane shifting to a pale blue color. "But perhaps there is something to learn from your unguided evolution." Later, after the Veil had returned to their ship with promises to continue discussions the next day, the human team gathered to discuss the meeting. "They seem peaceful enough," Miller observed. "More scientists than warriors, just as you predicted." "They're desperate," Alex reminded him. "Their entire species is at risk." Director Hayes nodded thoughtfully. "What concerns me is what they said about our response announcing our presence to the wider galaxy. If there's a community of advanced civilizations out there, we've just put ourselves on their map." "For better or worse," Ben added, "though I'm more interested in what we might learn from their biology, and they from ours." Alex was about to respond when an urgent message came through. The communication officer's face was pale as he delivered the news. "We're detecting another ship entering the outer system," he reported, "much larger than the Veil vessel. And according to our Veil visitors, it's not one of theirs." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Their answer to a signal not meant for them had done more than just contact the Veil. It had announced humanity's presence to the stars. And now, someone else was coming to meet them. The Situation Room on Europa Station buzzed with tense activity. Screens displayed the approaching vessel, a massive ship nearly a kilometer in length that had entered the solar system and was moving steadily inward. "What do we know about them?" General Davis demanded, his holographic form flickering slightly with the strain on the communication system. Lumina, the Veil leader, stood with the humans, its membrane now a deep, troubled purple. "They are called the Hive. They are rivals to many species in our part of the galaxy." "Rivals?" Captain Miller asked. "Or enemies?" "Both," Lumina replied. They believe in genetic purity and superiority. They see species like mine, who were guided in our development, as artificial and unworthy. They would likely view humans as uncontrolled variables, dangerous and unpredictable. Alex frowned. How did they know to come here? When you activated the Architect Relay Station, it sent a signal that could be detected by any advanced civilization monitoring this sector, Lumina explained. The Hive would have known immediately that someone had found Architect technology. And they want it for themselves, Miller concluded. Yes, Lumina confirmed. Architect technology is valuable, but I suspect they are more interested in you now. Us? Director Hayes asked. A new intelligent species that developed without guidance yet advanced enough to activate Architect systems? You are a curiosity they will want to study. The way Lumina said study made everyone in the room uneasy. News of the approaching Hive ship spread quickly through human settlements across the solar system. On Earth, millions watched their screens, waiting for updates about humanity's second first contact in as many days. But this one, they were told, might not be friendly. In the day since their arrival, the Veil had shared information about the wider galactic community, a complex network of species at various stages of development. Some, like the Veil, had been guided by older races. Others had evolved independently but had been discovered and integrated into the community early in their development. Humans were unusual. They had developed in isolation, advancing to space travel and complex technology without outside influence. That makes you unpredictable, Lumina had explained. Your technology follows paths that would not occur to other species. Your solutions to problems are unexpected. Now that unpredictability might be their only advantage. They're requesting communication, the officer at the monitoring station reported. The Hive ship is hailing us. Alex, Miller, Hayes, and Lumina gathered around the main screen as the connection was established. The image that appeared showed a being with a rigid, segmented exoskeleton. Its head was dominated by compound eyes and mandible-like structures that clicked as it spoke. I am Overlord Kaztur of the Hive Dominion, it said, its voice translated by the system Lumina had provided. We detected Architect technology activating in this system. Explain yourselves. Director Hayes stepped forward. I am Director Lisa Hayes of the United Earth Government. We are the native intelligent species of this solar system. We recently discovered the Architect Relay Station and activated it unintentionally. The Hive Overlord's mandibles clicked rapidly. Impossible. No undirected species could understand Architect systems well enough to activate them. And yet they did, Lumina interjected, moving into view. These humans are unusual, Overlord. Veil, Kaztur said, its tone somehow conveying disgust despite the mechanical translation. Your presence here is not surprising, always scavenging for the scraps of your creators. We came seeking help, Lumina replied evenly. The humans answered our call. A call not meant for them, Kaztur observed. Interesting. Perhaps they are worth studying before we claim the Architect technology. Alex felt a chill at the casual way the Overlord discussed studying humans. The Architect station is in orbit around Karen, Miller said suddenly. If you want to examine it, you're welcome to do so. But this system is our home and we will defend it. Kaztur seemed amused. Defend? Your technology is primitive compared to ours. We could destroy your entire civilization with minimal effort. Perhaps, Alex said, stepping forward. But I think you'll find humans are full of surprises. The Hive ship continued its approach, ignoring demands to halt. Earth's defense forces were mobilized, but as Kaztur had pointed out, human weapons were likely no match for advanced alien technology. On Europa Station, Alex worked frantically with Lumina and a team of human scientists. The Hive are biologically integrated with their technology, Lumina explained. Their ships are partially organic, controlled through a neural network that connects all Hive members. A literal hive mind? Ben Foster asked, fascinated despite the danger. Not exactly, Lumina replied. They remain individuals, but they share information instantaneously through their network. It gives them advantages in coordination and response time. Alex looked up from the data he was studying. And if that network were disrupted? They would be severely compromised, Lumina said, but their systems are highly resistant to conventional attacks. Conventional, yes, Alex said, a plan forming in his mind. But what about unconventional? The plan came together in hours. It was risky, borderline insane, but it played to humanity's unique strengths, their unpredictability and their understanding of the architect relay station. The station was designed to amplify and transmit specific types of signals, Alex explained to the emergency council. If we modify it to broadcast on the frequency the Hive use for their neural network, but with a pattern based on human brainwaves, their systems won't know how to process it, Lumina finished, its membrane flashing with excitement. It could temporarily disable their network, giving our ships time to approach and force them to withdraw, Miller added. Director Hayes looked skeptical. Can we modify the station that quickly? We have to try, Alex said simply. The Galileo, still orbiting Charon, became the center of the operation. Working remotely with Alex and Lumina on Europa, the crew made the necessary modifications to the relay station. The Hive ship will reach Jupiter orbit in 30 minutes, the tactical officer reported. On the screen they could see the massive alien vessel approaching, its dark hull reflecting the distant sunlight. Behind it, smaller ships, Earth's combined defense fleet, moved into position, ready for the moment the Hive were vulnerable. Relay station modifications complete, Dr. Rachel Lee reported from the Galileo. Ready to transmit on your command. Alex looked at Lumina, who nodded. Do it. The modified relay station activated, sending a powerful burst of energy, a signal, patterned on human brainwave activity, directly at the Hive ship. For a moment nothing happened. Then the massive vessel seemed to shudder, its steady approach faltering. Lights across its hull flickered and dimmed. It's working, someone shouted. Their systems are disrupting. The Earth fleet moved in, surrounding the now vulnerable Hive ship. Open a channel, Director Hayes ordered. When Overlord Kazatur appeared on screen again, its compound eyes seemed to be twitching, its mandibles clicking erratically. What have you done? It managed to ask. Demonstrated that humans are indeed full of surprises, Hayes replied calmly. Your ship is currently surrounded by our fleet. While your primary systems are disrupted, we could cause significant damage. I suggest you reconsider your position. The Overlord was silent for a long moment, its alien features unreadable. Finally it spoke. Perhaps when we have underestimated you humans. This is unexpected. That's what makes us interesting, Alex said, stepping into view. We didn't develop along the paths you'd expect. Our minds work differently, and that makes us valuable allies or dangerous enemies. The choice, Hayes added, is yours. 3 days later, representatives from Earth, the Veil, and the Hive gathered on Europa Station. The mood was tense, but no longer hostile. The Hive had withdrawn to the outer system, maintaining a cautious distance but opening diplomatic channels. You have earned the right to be heard, Kazatur acknowledged reluctantly. Few species have ever managed to disable Hive systems. We didn't want to fight, Alex said. We just wanted to protect our home and help the Veil. Lumina's membrane rippled with a warm, golden color. The humans have already begun assisting us with our genetic problem. Their unguided evolution has given them insights our scientists never considered. Unguided yet effective, Kazatur observed. Perhaps there is value in diversity of approach. It was as close to a compliment as the Hive Overlord seemed capable of giving. Director Hayes stepped forward. Today marks humanity's formal introduction to the wider galactic community. We have much to learn, but also much to offer. As the meeting continued, Alex found himself at one of the observation windows looking out at the stars. Captain Miller joined him. Quite a week, Miller said dryly. First contact with two alien species, one potential war averted, and humanity joining a galactic community we didn't know existed. Alex smiled. All because we answered a call that wasn't meant for us. Sometimes, Miller replied, the wrong number ends up being exactly the right one. Outside the window, the stars seemed brighter somehow, each one potentially holding new worlds, new species, new possibilities. Humanity had taken its first steps into a much larger universe, and they had done it in a way uniquely their own, by hearing a call for help, even one not meant for them, and choosing to answer.